Hello, everyone. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Swami Mukundananda and Mr. Ashutosh Garg. I am sure I speak everyone's mind when I say this will be a riveting exploration of spiritual enlightenment, Indic wisdom, and holistic living. This conversation commemorates the success of Golden Rules for Living Your Best Life by Swamiji. Now, I'll begin with Swamiji's introduction, the man who doesn't require one, but I'll try my best. Swamiji is a world renowned teacher of spirituality, yoga, and meditation. He has pioneered a holistic system of yoga known as Jagadguru Kripaluji Yoga. As an international authority on mind management and a best selling author, Swamiji has been a guiding light for millions worldwide on the path of everlasting happiness and fulfillment. Today we have amongst us Mr. Ashutosh Garg. Ashutosh Garg is a renowned entrepreneur, author of best-selling titles such as The Corner Office, How to Survive Failure and Come Out Stronger, and many more. We are awaiting another title from him at Rupa Publications this year. He's also a storyteller, and his podcast, The Brand Called You, inspires many with stories of successful entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers. Golden Rules for Living Your Best Life is a wholesome, holistic guide that integrates spirituality and teachings from the Vedic scriptures to elevate one's life. Now, I would like to request Mr. Garg to share his thoughts on the book.
Thank you, Priyanshi. I got the book from you and I read through the book, and it is such an amazing book. When we talk of inspiration, success, gratitude, there are so many different things that we will talk about with Swamiji today. And I must say, I first got to thank Swamiji for agreeing to speak to me, to Rupa for inviting me to have this absolutely amazing once in a lifetime conversation, and I'm really looking forward to talking to Swamiji.
Thank you so much, Ashutoshi. The privilege is entirely mine. So delighted to be speaking to a wonderful host like yourself. I too would like to express my thanks to Priyanshi from Rupa Publications for arranging this discussion today.
So, Swamiji, I've had a chance to read your book, but before I come to your book, I wanted to ask you a question I am sure you have been asked many, many, many times. And just before we started recording, you were telling me you did your internship with Hindustan Unilever after IIM Calcutta. So, what was the reason or what was the motivation for you to give up corporate life and go become a monk?
Ashutoshi, the reason was precisely the same as what is motivating you to do these podcasts after retiring from your corporate career.
Okay.
The need to connect with a higher purpose.
Hmm.
So the mere idea of earning money as a consequence of my education was not satisfying enough.
Mhm.
And my internship, like you mentioned, was at Hindustan Levers. And I found the corporate environment to be very artificial,
Hmm.
where the employees did not truly care for the organization, but they pretended to. And the organization actually did not care for the employees, but for what they contributed. They pretended they did.
Hmm.
So this artificiality was suffocating me.
Hmm.
And after completing my MBA, when I started working, that was at Tata Burroughs, it was the beginning of the IT industry. I would ask myself the question that is this all my life is worth? To
Hmm.
work hard to increase the profits of a corporation, there's a much higher purpose to it.
Correct. Correct.
And by then, I had come in touch with divine knowledge,
Hmm.
which made me realize my connection with the whole of the universe.
Hmm.
So, to realize the absolute truth for myself and to help others with divine wisdom. I
Hmm.
took this step.
Amazing. Amazing. And before I ask you the next question, you said Tata Burrows. I think there again there was some parallel between our. I was moved after 4 years in ITC to the Information Systems Division, and we got the first B1900 computers from Tata Burrows. Uh,
Interesting.
isn't it? So, but coming now, Swamiji, to religion and spirituality. Many people think that religion and spirituality are only for those who are averse to material well being. I'd love to get your perspective on that, on whether this is true, and if not, why?
People say that because they have not really appreciated what is spiritual wisdom and how it
Correct.
can add value to their lives.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
they feel that spirituality is about going to a temple and offering prayers or taking a japmala and rotating the beads. And since they can't connect with these activities,
Mhm.
they feel that spirituality doesn't have a relevance to their lives.
Mhm.
But there's so much that spirituality can help us with in
Correct.
our material sphere of activities.
Mhm.
If we have our mind more under control,
Mhm.
if we know the art of staying inspired always,
Mhm.
if we have learned how to look at the positive side of things and be happy, we will just be much better,
Mhm.
more blissful, and more fulfilled individuals,
Mhm.
all as a consequence of cultivating spirituality in our life.
Mhm. Well said. And therefore, what I'm hearing you say is that it is not necessary to build in symbols that we do have, that you must be in a temple once a week or more. As long as there's spirituality in your heart, that is all that matters.
Ashutoshi, factually, what you're saying is right. Spirituality is an inner journey.
Correct.
The symbols, the rituals are just helpful practices
Hmm.
to help us inculcate it in our lives.
Hmm.
The reason is that spirituality is a very subtle science. It's
Hmm.
an inner practice. And that is why the vast majority are not able to connect with it. They
Correct.
need the support of external rituals, external traditions. And
Hmm.
that is why the wise people, the great sages, they created all these systems
Hmm.
so that such practices could be passed down from generation to generation.
Hmm.
So it is true that spirituality is an inner cultivation. The
Hmm.
external practices can be adopted or rejected based on our own perception of whether they are helping us or not.
Well said. Well said. And I also wanted to get your perspective, Swamiji, on Hinduism. Despite being the third largest religion in the world, why is it that the Western world doesn't seem to understand Hinduism, and it continues to be an enigma for most Westerners?
I think one of the reasons
Mm,
is a shortcoming from our own side.
mm,
Before I start blaming or pointing
absolutely.
fingers, we have not done enough to bring out those spiritual gems in
Mm,
our tradition, in our knowledge system.
mm,
To some extent, Hinduism has impacted the entire world.
mm.
For example, meditation itself.
Correct.
Very few people are now remembering the link.
Correct.
This word dhyan or
Mm,
meditation in Sanskrit, when Buddhism traveled from India to China, the
mm,
word jnana got changed to John, and
Hmm.
later on it got modified to Zen.
Hmm.
So this is a gift of India. Once
Absolutely.
again,
Hmm.
in the 1960s, when a number of teachers from India went to the West,
Hmm.
they carried with them meditation in a
Hmm.
variety of forms,
Correct.
transcendental meditation, etc. And
Hmm.
slowly that has become part of mainstream.
Hmm.
So today, you don't find it astonishing if in a boardroom meeting the CEO says, before we begin, let's engage in a 2-minute meditation.
Correct. Well said.
This is India's gift.
Very
And
good.
so also is the practice of yoga.
Hmm.
We need to do much more.
Hmm.
And we must also be lenient with ourselves. It's only 75 years since we shrugged off centuries of foreign rule,
I know.
and we are doing fine. But
Hmm.
as we bring out the wonderful knowledge
Hmm.
and the tremendous books and sciences that are
Hmm.
embedded in our Hindu tradition, I am sure the world would learn to respect it more and to appreciate it.
Well said, sir. And of course, the other aspect I remember talking to someone, the whole world is now talking of the metaverse and the avatar. And I was telling them, avatar is actually avatar, which comes from Hinduism, and you're so right. We haven't yet been able to communicate. But
Very
Swamiji,
right. Yes,
so,
Ashutosh, go ahead.
no, please go ahead. You know,
Yeah, this metaverse theory, which has now started being mooted in science,
correct.
our scriptures have said it all along. It says, the Devi Bhagavad Puran says, Sankhya Chet Rajasamasti Vishwanam Kadachana
Mm,
Brahma Vishnu Shivadinam Katha Sankhya na Vidyate.
mm,
5,000 years ago, Ved Vyas wrote
mm,
that
mm,
you may succeed in counting the specks of dust on
mm,
the crust of the earth,
mm,
but nobody can count the number of universes.
mm.
And each universe with one Brahma, one Shankar, and one Vishnu.
Correct.
That is the expanse of creation.
Correct. So right. So true. I've got one more question, and then I want to move to your book, Swamiji. You know, Creating an amazing organization like the Jagat Guru Kripalu Yog Trust or the JK Yog must have been very exciting and challenging. What next for you?
What next for me? Hmm. To create a spiritual organization is a very rounded experience
Mm,
because you are creating a community, creating an entire system
mm,
that nurtures all aspects of people's lives.
mm.
So the organization has to offer a variety of things that
Correct.
people need in their lives, like
Yeah.
culture, like festivals, like
Mm,
knowledge, like children's classes, youth programs, etc. So
mm,
it has been a very wonderful experience for me,
mm,
ensuring that my personality itself is
mm,
well rounded. I cannot afford to neglect any aspects of life.
mm,
But when you say what next, see the nature of the spiritual aspiration
mm,
is that you do your best and then remain ever discontented. I have
mm,
not done enough so far. I need to
mm.
do so much more. So I would love to think that what we have done so far is 1%. And in the
Correct.
coming years, we'd like to take it to the remaining 99%.
Mm. Thank you, Swamiji. What a great response. So I'm now going to come to your book, Swamiji, Golden Rules for Living Your Best Life. Let me start by asking you, what was the inspiration to write this book?
Ashutosh ji, the inspiration was to create a manual for life that people could refer to.
Hmm.
Because if we think of it, when you purchase a complex gadget, it comes with the user's guides where you can turn to for solutions. It's a one stop resource for troubleshooting.
Hmm.
Now, in the case of life, it's like being thrown into the deep end of a pool and being told, learn swimming.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
difficult experiences are coming first, and the learning is happening later on.
Correct.
So I wanted the wisdom to be made available,
Hmm.
particularly for the young professionals, for the students, the generation that is seeking wisdom.
Hmm.
And another rationale behind it
Hmm.
was the Pareto principle.
Hmm.
Now, I'm sure as a management expert, you have used that so many times.
Hmm.
Mr. Pareto, he stated that if you are selling products, 20% of your product line contributes to 80% of revenues.
Correct.
And if you have a spectrum of customers, 20% of the customers, they are accounting for 80% of your profits.
Hmm.
So also it is with life.
Hmm.
From all of the multitudes of areas, if you can pick out the most important, they take care of 80% of your life experience.
Hmm.
So in this book, I have shared wisdom on 5 areas.
Okay.
The first is
Hmm.
health and
Hmm.
wellness.
Hmm.
The second is professional fulfillment.
Hmm.
The third is relationships.
Hmm.
The fourth is spiritual and emotional well being.
Hmm.
And the fifth is financial abundance.
Hmm. Very interesting. The other question that I also wanted to ask you was that I've often said that most parents, certainly in India and Asia, don't teach children it's okay to fail. You speak about success. So I wanted to ask you, how do you define success and what are some of the principles for achieving success?
Mm, Our, the way we define success is so important because it's the direction our life is going to take. If our definition is faulty, we'll be running in the wrong side
Hmm.
only to realize at the end of life that what we were chasing was a mere mirage. And that is what happens so often
Hmm.
as people say that to earn well, I sacrificed my health.
Hmm.
And now to regain my health back, I'm spending my wealth.
Hmm.
It
Well said.
becomes like the processionary caterpillars. You
Correct.
know, in India, sometimes in some of the states, we see these, they come out in the monsoons and
Hmm.
they attach each other. And they've got so many legs and walk.
Hmm.
Now, if you
Hmm.
put 6 of them in a circle, they will
Hmm.
go round and round and round for a full
Yes.
week without
Yes.
achieving anything.
Hmm.
So, when it comes to the definition of success,
Hmm.
the way I like to define it is like this. The first is you want to do good. When you see your work is creating a difference,
Hmm.
even in the life of one person's life,
Hmm.
or maybe on a bigger scale, it
Hmm.
makes you feel good from within.
Hmm.
That is the inner fulfillment, which doesn't require anything from the outside and which nobody can snatch away from you.
Correct.
That inner fulfillment
Hmm.
comes by doing good. Now, when you go about trying to do your best, we realize the biggest constraint is our own self.
Mm.
The better we become, the better we can do.
Correct.
And to achieve more, we need to have be more effective in our thought processes, more self-disciplined, more knowledgeable, etc. We
Mm.
have to work upon ourselves.
Mm.
And that comes to the second part of the objects, self-objectives, which
Mm.
is to be good. Interestingly, when you strive to be good,
Mm.
it is not even how good you are,
Mm.
but the delta change for which you are struggling, which
Mm.
gives the inner satisfaction. Yes,
Right.
I tried hard today.
Mm.
And the consequence of doing good and being good is that you feel good, which is ultimately the universal common desire of all humankind to
Mm.
be happy.
Well
That is
said.
why at JK Yoga we have this slogan: do good, be good, and feel good.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Swamiji, you also talk about practicing gratitude. How can we cultivate a mindset of gratitude in our daily lives?
Ashutosh, gratitude comes from the Latin word gratia,
Okay.
which means to be grateful.
Hmm.
All of us lack so much in life,
Hmm.
but at the same time, we have
Hmm.
all received many gifts which we are forgetting in our rush, in our discontentment, in our comparisons. We take what we have for granted.
Hmm.
And the nature of our mind is to keep on thinking about what we don't have. The gratitude
Hmm.
is such a powerful emotion. It just
Hmm.
knocks out negativity from the mind.
Hmm.
Uh, Martin Seligman, who is recognized as father of positive psychology,
Hmm.
he conducted this experiment with 47 clinically depressed patients.
Hmm.
And the assignment he gave to them was that every day you will make a list of 5 things for
Hmm.
which you are grateful.
Hmm.
And the consequence was over a period of 3 months, he found that 93%, 94% of them were
Hmm.
able to pull themselves out of depression without
Hmm.
any drugs. So
Amazing.
it's like gratitude is the sovereign recipe
Hmm.
for positive thinking.
Hmm.
And what we need to do is just positively reframe a situation.
Hmm.
A very interesting example of that
Yeah.
is of a nurse who was working in an army hospital.
Hmm.
So she was relating her experience with two soldiers who had
Hmm.
been brought there. Both had one leg blown off.
Hmm.
One was full of woes. Oh my God, why did this happen? Why did the war take place? Why did
Hmm.
my colonel send me on the front? Why did
Hmm.
my comrade not stand by me?
Hmm.
He was full of negativity.
Hmm.
And the nurse related that the other soldier in the same
Hmm.
situation was full of gratitude.
Hmm.
Wow, I should have been dead today. The
Hmm.
miracle of God that I'm alive. I'll be able to speak to my family members. What of this leg? The technology will enable an artificial limb,
Hmm.
but I can still enjoy my life.
Hmm.
So the nurse related, the situation was the same for both.
Hmm.
The second soldier was a
Hmm.
master in the art of reframing it, seeing
Amazing.
the silver lining, and
Hmm.
that made all the difference.
Fabulous. What an amazing story, Swamiji. So, when you talk about, you just told us about positive mindset and how we can overcome some of the negative thought patterns, but you also speak about self reflection and self awareness. Uh, Help me understand how we can develop these qualities and why are they essential for personal growth.
Sure. Ashutoshi, all of us in this human experience
Mm,
are bestowed with a lower nature and a higher nature.
okay.
The higher nature
Mm,
makes us aspire
mm,
for noble thoughts and
mm,
lofty aspirations. And then we have a lower nature which wants to be lazy, which
mm.
wants to procrastinate, which has
Correct.
its pleasure seeking aspect.
Mm,
So, v- to really make the most of our human life,
mm,
we need to keep that lower nature in check. And that requires self reflection. Where is this thought
mm,
coming from? Is it from my lower being or is
mm.
it from my higher self?
Yeah.
Apart from that, in the rush of life, sometimes we put aside the bigger questions. What
Mm,
is the purpose of my life after all?
mm,
What are my values? What are
mm,
my ultimate goals? So, when we self reflect, we give ourselves the luxury of stopping a little bit, taking time out for ourselves in
mm,
solitude, where the world, the social media, the internet, the instant messaging cannot get
mm,
to us.
mm,
And then we go within ourselves.
mm,
Through self reflection, we are
mm,
able to appraise where am I today?
mm,
Where do I wish to be?
mm,
And what is the plan I feel? What is my own personal strategy?
mm,
Maybe for that, we need to reach out to people like yourselves with the brand called you. What
mhm,
is my personal strategy for
mm,
covering this gap between where I find myself and
mhm.
where I wish to be?
Amazing, amazing. Such valuable inputs you're giving us. My next question to you, Swamiji, is about mental health. We've all come out of the pandemic and a lot of people have been impacted. So I wanted to get your thoughts on what are some practical steps that can be taken to improve our physical and mental health.
Yes, Ashutosh, this is an important aspect of the offerings of JK Yoga. Uh, as you may be aware, the system of yoga that I teach, the JK Yoga system, also called yoga for the body, mind, and soul,
Mm,
it has it is the combination of five sciences for
mhm,
holistic well-being.
mm,
The first is exercising.
mm,
Now, this is so important as we all come to know when age starts increasing. The yogic system is so perfect and complete that it
mm,
makes me astonished how well these ancient sages understood the human body. It
mm,
provides us with flexes and stretches to prevent atrophy and keep the body fit. It
mm,
provides us with aerobics to ensure the muscle mass in the relevant places, not just the
mm,
biceps and triceps. It gives us balancing exercises to reduce falls when we grow up. It gives us inverted postures for our mental health.
mm,
And it also has the breathing exercises.
mm.
That is for the micro health, the health of the 37 trillion cells in our body. So
Correct.
exercising is one aspect. The second aspect is the diet.
Hmm.
There is a plethora of diets out there.
Correct.
The Mediterranean diet and the paleo diet, now the keto diet, etc.
Correct.
But I am a propagator
Hmm.
of a very rational, well balanced diet
Hmm.
where you understand that the body has a need for many nutrients
Hmm.
and the food understand it's a means for providing nutrition.
Hmm.
So you take a balanced diet.
Hmm.
In the short while, I will not go into detail, but one addition which will be very helpful
Hmm.
is to add laughter to our
Correct.
daily regimen because life is serious matter, but
Hmm.
laughter can definitely lighten up the process.
How wonderful. How
And
wonderful.
scientists have discovered that little baby
Hmm.
laughs 300 to 400 times a day,
Wow.
while we humans,
Hmm.
we reduce it to 10 to 15 times a day.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if I was a doctor, I would
Hmm.
make a prescription. Please add more laughter to your daily dose.
Hmm.
And if it is not enough, you double the dose and triple the
Hmm.
dose.
Hmm.
There is no limit to the refills.
Fabulous. Fabulous. And, since you spoke about laughter, uh, the converse is what I wanted to ask you all about, that most of us go through very difficult emotions like anger, fear, and anxiety. How does one deal with some of these?
Hmm. Ashutosh, first of all, there are some simple strategies for handling these issues. Like,
Hmm.
for example, anger is an immediate response
Hmm.
in the moment
Hmm.
where our right brain, which is responsible for the emotions, kicks in and
Hmm.
says, "Oh, if we can just hold on to the response for a minute, refuse to open our mouth,
Hmm.
it will provide the left brain with time to also kick in and
Hmm.
bring in some rationality that is it going to benefit me if
Hmm.
I fly into a rage? So that one little minute of silence
Hmm.
prevents us from making so many moves that we regret later on.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a little life hack for anger. When
Hmm.
it comes to fear, fear is a physiological response that's hardwired into our brain for our safety.
Hmm.
So, for example, if you were walking in the dark and suddenly you saw somebody coming to you with a stick, fear would short circuit
Hmm.
your prefrontal cortex
Hmm.
and say, take immediate action in
Hmm.
defense.
Hmm.
The problem is in modern day living that fear is not of life threatening
Hmm.
dangers that come our way. Rather, it is more of an emotional
Hmm.
danger or psychological threat, etc. So fear
Hmm.
becomes dysfunctional, like the
Hmm.
fear of closed spaces, etc.
Correct.
And the one life hack out here, the one strategy is systematic desensitization,
Hmm.
which means
Hmm.
you desensitize yourself to your fear one
Hmm.
step at a time.
Hmm.
That's the technique that Toastmasters uses
Okay.
because they say that the fear of public speaking is the second biggest fear after the fear of death.
Wow.
So what they do is that they
Hmm.
desensitize entice people by saying,
mm,
okay, go and speak for a minute, the
mm.
next time for 2 minutes, etc.
Amazing.
Likewise is anxiety.
Mm,
Now, anxiety is another form. Anxiety and stress are practically the
mm.
same thing.
Correct. Correct.
And the world is battling this phenomenon of stress.
Mm, mm,
So the question often comes up before me is, Swamiji, how do we manage stress?
right.
I, I take people to the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, which
Mm,
stated 5,000 years ago,
mm,
Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana.
correct.
Look, Arjun, do your best,
Mm,
but don't be attached to outcomes.
mm,
Interestingly, what stresses us is not the hard work, but the attachment to the outcome.
mm,
If somebody has a job interview,
mm,
now they're all stressed,
mm,
and they realize it's not going to help them.
correct.
So the reason for the stress is the attachment. What will happen? What will happen? What will happen?
Mm,
The Bhagavad Gita is telling us, look, it's not in your hands what will happen.
mm,
The only
right.
thing in your hands is
Right.
your effort.
Mm,
So do your best. And as
mm.
the saying goes, leave to God all the rest.
Well said. Well said. And then, we also keep thinking of how do we make or find a deeper connection with ourselves and others, and how can we build meaningful relationships?
Hmm. I have in my book
Mm,
pointed to Harvard study, which was the longest ongoing study. It
mm,
started in 1938 and continued for 75 years,
correct.
where they got the sophomores from Harvard and
Mm,
followed them for the next 75 years
mm,
to see how well they did in life.
mm,
Some of them, they turned out to be presidents of the country, like John Kennedy.
mm,
Some of them even became alcoholics and derelicts.
mm,
Um, The study revealed
mm,
that the health of people's relationships
mm,
had the strongest correlation with their lifespan. It was naturally exercise helped in so many ways,
mm,
but ultimately, if they had healthier relationships, they found more meaningful lives and they
mm,
lived longer.
mm,
And even the healthier relationships were connected with higher levels of income.
mm,
So, as the saying goes, that man is a social animal. And that
correct.
is why we need to prioritize this. So, Ashutosh ji, very briefly, 2 points. The first is to be less selfish in our
Mm,
relationship.
right.
Selfishness leads to expectations. This person should do as I want.
Mm,
This person should think as I want.
mm,
This person should even understand my mind and respond
mm,
accordingly. This
mm,
person should reciprocate my gestures. So behind all these expectations is our
right.
selfishness.
Correct.
And when they are not met, it leads to frustrations.
Mm,
So expectations are like premeditated frustrations.
mm,
So if when we become more selfless, we
mm,
realize it's not all about me. It's about offering selflessly to the others.
mm, mm,
And the second is to look on the relationship as a bank account.
mm,
So a bank account has its deposits
mm,
and withdrawals.
mm,
Likewise, in a relationship, The deposits are when you look at the other and smile, when you go out of your way to do something for the other, when you
Mm,
sacrifice your own opinion in favor of the other or forgive
mm.
the other's mistake, these all count for deposits.
Amazing.
And withdrawals are when you force the other to do something they don't like, or you censure the other person, etc., etc.
Mm,
Now, for any relationship to be meaningful,
mm.
there have to be withdrawals. Like parents have to do withdrawals to really fulfill their duty to the children. But
Correct.
what people forget about is that they also need to make deposits.
Mm,
And when they are not depositing, the account goes into overdraw mode.
mm.
Like, for
Very.
example, consider this story.
Mm,
A husband and wife, they were newly married
mm,
and all full of romance. They went out after dinner for a walk, and all of a sudden, the
mm,
husband put his arm around his wife and pulled her over. She said, "What happened, darling?" He said, "There was a puddle of water in front,"
mm,
and the wife was touched.
mm,
But then 5 years went by, and the husband and wife were again taking an after dinner walk.
mm,
He spotted the puddle. This
mm,
time he no longer chivalrously pulled her across. He
mm,
just announced, "There's a puddle of water, be careful."
mm,
And then another 15 years went by, and they were again taking a walk. The
mm.
husband saw the puddle and he shouted, "Are you blind? Can you not see? There's a puddle
Wow.
ahead."
Mm,
The mistake, often a fatal mistake he was making, was he had forgotten that any relationship is enlivened through deposit. So
correct.
it's a simple truth to keep in mind for
Very,
ourselves.
very, very powerful message, Swamiji. Swamiji, I can keep talking to you forever, but I had a time constraint, so I'm going to ask you my last question. And a little
Sure.
while back, you mentioned to me about meditation and how meditation is really a gift from India to the world. My question to you is, how can meditation benefit our lives, and how can someone start this on a regular basis?
Okay, Ashutosh, you have kept the deepest spiritual question for the last.
Hmm,
Well, meditation is a tool that enables us to go within ourselves
hmm,
and to work on our own mind and intellect.
hmm,
Some of the benefits of meditation are, firstly, it helps us enhance our focus
hmm.
because the nature of the mind is to be scattered.
Correct.
And if we can enhance our focus, we just
Hmm,
become more effective.
hmm,
So, meditation gives us that handle on the mind.
hmm,
Secondly, it enhances our self discipline
hmm,
because part of our lower nature is the pleasure seeking tendency. So it's like
hmm,
personality weakness. I want a
hmm,
stimulus. So why do
hmm.
people become addicted to their mobiles and social media? It's
Correct.
the personality weakness. I need
Hmm,
pleasure.
hmm,
And meditation helps us stamp it out and
hmm,
enhance that muscle of self discipline. If we go into the field of devotion,
hmm.
meditation helps us connect with something higher than ourselves.
Correct.
It
Correct.
helps us build our relationship with the universe, with the source of the universe itself.
Hmm.
And then, fourthly, meditation is a way of bathing our mind and intellect in noble.
Amazing. Amazing.
Meditation is not just about being thoughtless, as many people understand it to be.
Hmm.
Instead, you could be holding noble thoughts in yourself,
Hmm.
and that is an equally bona fide, if not more powerful, technique of meditation.
Hmm.
So, now coming to how to practice it, this is the
Hmm.
way I teach it.
Hmm.
It's called Rupa Dhyan meditation.
Hmm.
Our mind has a propensity to connect with form.
Hmm.
So, whichever form you associate the divinity with,
Hmm.
you bring it before you. And immediately the mind develops a divine basis to rest upon
Hmm.
that you can easily connect with.
Hmm.
And then you enliven the meditation by attributing qualities of
Hmm.
kindness, of giving, of knowledge to that object of your
Hmm.
meditation.
Hmm.
And you can even, in our Indian tradition, we have the pastimes of the Lord. So you can sweeten your meditation further by thinking about going into wonderful pastimes. It is so interesting, in the Indian culture, when the
Hmm.
Ramayana first came on TV in the 1980s, it broke all
Correct.
records. And then during the COVID times, when it again came on TV again, it broke
Hmm.
all records.
Absolutely.
So that cultural aspect is there where we connect with a set of pastimes and we
Hmm.
can use those also in our
Hmm.
meditation. So
Amazing.
very
Amazing.
simply, this is the technique of root Dhyan meditation.
Fascinating. Fascinating. And on that note, Swamiji, thank you so much for speaking to me about your own incredible journey. Thank you for speaking to me about your book, Golden Rules for Living Your Best Life. Thank you for really clarifying so many different topics, ranging from success to gratitude to, talking about mental health, to talking about how we can handle anger, fear, and anxiety, and also talking about how we can create a deeper connection with ourselves, and finally telling us a little bit more about how we can meditate better. Thank you again so much for speaking to me. And I'm really grateful that you took the time. Thank you, Swamiji.
Oh, Ashutoshi, thank you for your kind words. The pleasure was all mine. I enjoyed every bit of the conversation, and thank you so much for having me as a part of your program.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.